I'm a long-time contactee. This started with me at age 12 in 1959. It really started with my grandfather first. He was in Yugoslavia. He was a lumberjack. And my grandmother would give him like 5 sandwiches. He'd have his coffee and he'd sit on his stump. And out of these woods came this 12-inch dwarf and sat on his stump by my grandfather. My grandfather would give him a sandwich and he would communicate and they would talk. And this would go on pretty much. He had 4 sons and were Croatian Yugoslavia because they would speak in different language so no one could understand what they were saying. The only one that really took my grandfather serious was my dad because he knew that he was telling the truth. And in these conversations I would hear because I was a lot younger, but something that this little dwarf was telling my grandfather was that his son and one of his grandsons are going to be chosen to meet a lot of different star people. You people call them aliens, they're really star people. So that's kind of where it started there. Now, I grew up in a town called Dogtown, and my dad had a 4-family flat. And I used to go across the streets on a Saturday morning, every Saturday morning. We had these enormous street lights, and they were real big. And I had these little pebbles because I used to love to hear the ping off of these lights. And I had 2 boulders to break it when I was a 12-year-old kid. Well, I started throwing the little pebbles at the light, and I was hearing a ping. And out of the corner of my eye, it's Manchester's like a main street, and in Tammy Avenue is the street I lived on. We were the second building on the right, across the street. But anyway, I saw this metallic ball. It was a little bit bigger than a basketball, and it was real silent. We didn't have remote control back then, and I couldn't understand what this was, but it come over my head about 30 feet. Well, a little kid, 12 years old, I picked up one of the boulders because I was going to throw at it, hit it, it would fall, break in half. This is a little 12-year-old kid. And when I went to step back to throw, I saw these little windows with these little figures. Well, down the road, these are my buddies now. They're 3-inch humanoids. They had shot a beam of light on me, like a green beam on me. And there was a small parking lot, and there was this first house. It went up over the house, down, shot straight up in the air, disappeared. So I went running into the house. My mom's cooking breakfast. My dad's sitting in his seat. He always had this pad that he would write on. So I started drawing what I'm seeing. And my dad's jumping up and down saying UFO, all these big words. I didn't know what the hell he was talking about because I was only 12. He said, "Where did you see this?" And I said, "Dad, I saw it out in the front." Well, my dad went running, and my mom went running after him. So when I got out there, I brought him back in the house, and he had me sit down at the kitchen table. He said, "What I want you to do is tell me everything." And I go, "Well, if I tell you everything, you're not going to kick my ass, are you?" Because he kind of laughed about that. And my dad knew that he was not alone no more. He had somebody to console with. My dad was 8th grade education. And I didn't realize that we were going to actually meet E.T., that evening. What he went and done first is he went grocery shopping because he thought more about my mom than E.T. And he bought all the groceries, 2 loaves of bread, and then we go to meet E.T. in this area. The car dies, and they're coming after us, and there's this giant flying saucer. So they get us out of the car, and they're walking us into this craft. They put me in one room and my dad in the other room. And I was 12 years old. I was real scared. And they're scraping and taking semen. And I'm sure they're doing the same thing to my dad. And then when I looked up at the ceiling, because I'm on this metal table, I saw this yellow blanket light coming down and would cover my neck, and my feet would be open in my head. I could move my feet in my head. And I was real scared. And I was trying to push through it. I'm just a 12-year-old kid. And I'm sure my dad's going through the same thing. So finally, they put us in this room together, this beautiful room, and we had black and white TV. This is in the 50s. We didn't have color TV. And all of a sudden, this color TV comes floating in the air right in front of us. It shows Hitler, all the wars, and our beautiful planet totally on fire. And I was only 12, so my dad's asking him questions. Did we have war with you? Did the sun fall? They're not saying anything. So when that's all over with, we're coming out of the craft. I'm sitting down now, but if I was standing up, our nose started bleeding real bad. It was coming out of this nostril. It's not even hitting the ground. It's like a chain. It's going back into the other nostril. And I'm looking at my dad because he's going through the same thing. We're hitting ourselves in the chest because we thought we were going to die right there. So they're walking us back to the car. And we get in, and then they're walking back in the craft, and they leave. And when I went to turn around to the back seat, I saw everything was there but the bread. And that's when I grabbed my dad's shirt, and I said, Daddy, 12-year-old kid, everything's there but they took the bread. So our car started. We're going back home because we had this big backyard. It was 210 by 60. I used to cut it with a push mower. And we would talk and console. My mother, my older brother, and my sister never knew anything about our lives because my dad scared the hell out of me. Because he told me if we ever say anything, the guys in the white jackets would come, take us away, and you never see your mother, your brother, or sister. Well, that scared the hell out of me. And it was a reason for my dad to say that. But this little kid, 12 years old, it just lit in my brain about this bread. So I'm talking to my dad, and I go, Daddy, the next time we meet star people, that was the first thing that came out of my mouth anyway, we bring bread. Well, my dad laughed. The second time we went, he took 5 loaves of bread. Third time we went, he took 7. My dad did not laugh no more. He realized that this was a peace offering. I never had any missing time. If my dad had it, he was implanted at 5 years old. I'm not saying that he did, and he probably did. If I had any missing time, it was from 01 to 11 years old. But from 12 years old all the way now in 2014, I'm 66. And my dad didn't have any missing time because he was, to the part to where my dad almost, finally died and everything. But I made a quest for my father that, I would carry on and find out the answers, because we had a lot of meetings in the yard where we were right about this, that star people were saying. And I met a total of 32 star people, 28 good, 4 bad. The bad ones I met were the two-legged lizard reptilian people with the hideous red eyes. They were very intimidating, and they put fear in you. My dad, I met that with my dad, and I met him twice on my own in later years, 1969, in the early 70s. And then we met the Orion Greys with no black eyes from the planet Orion. The reptilians were from the planet Hydra and Draco. I forgot to say that about them. Then we met these guys in these silver suits with no face. They had a blinking light. They talked telepathically. And then the other one was there's got to be an east and west praying mantis, because I heard they're supposed to be really spiritual and nice. But the ones that were on the craft that we were on pushed my dad down, and I kicked this one in the chin, and I jumped behind my dad. And then the 12-inch dwarf that had talked to my late grandfather was right about us meeting different star people. We met these cyclop star people with one eye. They were 8 to 10 feet tall. They're from the 4th dimension. They would fly in an egg-shaped, and a lot of these meetings that we had were always at night. They had this beautiful orange color, and they would speak telepathic, and they would say that there are some of them already down underneath the ground on planet Earth, and later on we would get more information on that. But a lot of the information that we were getting was, we're destroying this planet and we need to turn it around, and if we don't, we're going to be like the dinosaur, we'll be extinct. And we were spraying everything, because back in our time, we didn't spray our gardens, any of our food, like what we do now, because in the long run, 20 years, we're killing ourselves. I met the ant people, the worm people, cat people. I met a real angel by the name of Catherine. Looks like little children. Trying to think of all the ones I met here, but you know, all these people are real. These people we made up, and as I go through this, maybe I'll remember some more. The Serpo Greys, they're always in silver suits. They're real good friends. Matter of fact, I have a group now where this is my life for over 50 years. I call them my Fab Four. They're not the Beatles. They're the Serpo Greys from the planet Serpo, the Nardiques that look just like us, and the Elephant people, and my little 3-inch humanoid buddies from the 5th and 7th dimension. They were my very first contact. I went to planet Serpo with my father and twice by myself. We were in this craft, and we would pick up a little thing on each one. And we're sitting in these colored chairs. I'm 12 years old. And I saw these like fiber optic wire, some kind of wire all the way around the craft with these real vines. And they had these handprints. They were different. They'd be like this or like this. Something to do with each one to either start the flying saucer or whatever. And I noticed this Serpo Grey was sitting down, and he took this vine and he stuck it to the side of his hand. That's when I nudged my dad, and I said, "Dad, he's feeding himself." There's little things we would pick up. But these people have been my friends for over 50 years, like I said, and I see them like every 2 months for vital information. What I want to do is let everyone know that it took me a long time to find somebody to tell my life story to, and I was really lucky. Debbie Zingermeyer, who is now the Missouri director of MUFON, she's also on the board of directors. She was my very first interview on the telephone. And she had somebody that she wrote down things to ask me questions. Kind of what she was trying to do was trying to trick me, you know, and I knew what she was doing. And I said, "Debbie, you can do whatever you want. This is my life story. You know, I lived this with my late father, and he met half of them. You know, I met 32 people. This is real. You know, I don't have to make it up." And she got a hold of Margie Kay, who's assistant director in Kansas City, because Margie Kay is a top psychic remote viewer. She's assistant director of MUFON in Kansas City. She was getting her messages telepathically, and I was getting the same message in person, in real life. So it was freaking Debbie out. She said, "We got to get you guys together." So of all places, they interviewed me at Fairmont Racetrack. So we get out to Fairmont Racetrack. Margie takes out her equipment, camera, everything, and all of her batteries die. So thank God Debbie had her equipment, everything worked. So as we're going through this, Margie's interviewing me, and I kind of started off, there's even a DVD we made where I don't care what you think, Margie, this is my life. It's like what I'm saying now. And these people are real. And she was kind of laughing because when I was talking about the 3-inch humanoid, she goes, "Ray, I believe you." And there's something to this, because after, in this interview we had, they actually follow her home and are talking to her. But she tells Debbie to shoot her camera straight up, and there's a giant flying saucer up there. And then Margie knows there's something else wrong. And that's where my little 3-inch guys are kind of, she's seen them moving my head. The interview was for like 2.5 hours. And then she's going home, and my little 3-inch humanoid guys are talking to her, following her all the way home. I went to speak at Kansas City, 2011, May 6th. And Debbie and Margie were there. And the people in Kansas City were really great. They asked a lot of questions. we went out to the parking lot. We're out there for 2.5 hours. We're asking these questions. You know, people were really, you know, glad that I came down here, and it made them feel that the answers that they wanted, you know, they heard from me. So I looked at Debbie, and I said, Debbie, we got to get out of here because we were getting real tired. Because my little guys in the Nordiques, they go wherever I speak. And I have my own meeting room today, and they've actually come in my meeting room, and because we have to get this information out. But anyway, we're going down Highway 70. There's a lot of farmland out there, and she has this enormous, brand new big Jeep. And out of the corner of my eye, this big white light just lights up the whole farmland, And it was like 5 minutes later, all of a sudden something hits the top of her Jeep, and the Jeep is just swinging like crazy because Debbie almost lost control. And Debbie looked at me and she goes, "That's a bird." And I said, "A fucking bird, Rodan." So we're getting real close to Columbia, Missouri. That was like the halfway part. And it was a quick trip. I said, "Well, go in there, park your Jeep, you get on one side of the bumper, and I'll get on the other side of the rudder bumper, whatever, and we'll stand up and look." There wasn't a mark on her tarp at all. So we're filling up and we were heading back home. And there was this like a restaurant where I had my car because we were like 15 minutes each from where we live. So anyway, when I got home, I was putting my luggage away because I wanted to listen to 45 minutes of Coast to Coast, George Norrie. And I went to lay down. My little guys are really high-pitched. My name's Raymond. They call me Raymond. And they come on my TV. My TV's off. They're always in a group of 8. And I can hear this pitch voice, "Raymond, Raymond, Raymond." I can't exactly sound like him, but kind of get an idea. And they were letting me know that it was them that did all that with the light and hitting her Jeep. They were also down there when I spoke because we have to get this information out that they want. And, you know, because I had God, and then I was lucky to have Debbie, Margie, and then another guy by the name of Joe Palermo, who's the top UFO investigator, MUFON, to tell my story too. And I always wanted my own place, and I finally got my meeting place for a safe haven for people to come. And there's like 6 people in my meeting room that had a lot of star people intervention in their life. I got 2 women that have a lot of hybrid children. And all my meetings are taped. I've got like 3 meetings. It's all about, you know, people I meet, what they're saying. Like, it's really hard to get information. The thing that would really freak you out is these people read your mind. Whatever you're going to say, they know what you're going to say before you say it. Because a lot of it was an education for me and my late father to figure out Hitler, the wars, the beautiful planet on fire. You know, we got people down on this planet that are playing God with our lives. Some of them are even killing us. The reptilians were controlling this planet for a long time. There was a group of they're called the Sirians, and they're from the planet Kela. With these, I found out through my guys, the only good reptilians, they're vegetarians. They knew the weakness of the Hydra and Draco reptilians and the Orion Greys. They actually, and it was January, February 2011, they shot a sonic blast, which actually created a 5.0 earthquake. But they killed a lot of reptilians, Orion Greys, in the bases that they blew up. What they were really concerned with is some of the human people that might have got killed. As we go through this further, you know, people were talking about this I guess it was like an asteroid. It was called Comet Ison. It was really a large craft with these Procedians that there's 2 flying saucers that were accompanying this craft that carries 5,000 passengers, 30 different crew member, or 30 different races on it. I'm sorry, and it has like a orb light. It's a contact craft through all the worlds, and eventually, the way I get it from my Fab Four, when it does come into Earth's atmosphere, when this does happen, you have to remember it's an event that causes this. We humans are used to a date and a time, but they want everyone to see these crafts. We got a lot of friends out there. Even though I have 28 friends, there are friends. They're going to be here to help us. There's a lot of them down underneath the ground on planet Earth now. I've just remembered these 2. They're called the Blue Warriors. They're programmed to do whatever it is in case of anything happening. And they're these spiritual blues, these women. They float off the ground. They're very spiritual. And a lot of them had the same message of what we're doing. They know we're turning things around. Well, a lot of times, my Fab Four will come on, my TV is off, or they'll come on my radio, it's off. I actually had an ET phone call, I'm not trying to be funny. It lit up the whole living room, this beautiful mystic green color, and they would give me information, and it would be something like, they would say line 40, which would be Highway 40, S, which would be south. So when I would actually get on that highway south, and then I would see the craft, it would blink twice, it would come across my car, and that exit I would get off, whether it would be winding road or straight, my car would die and they're there. And then when I go on the craft, and however long I was on there, when we were done, I would go to a Quick Trip or a bank, because my clock would stop. So like it's 10 after 1 now. So when I go to a Quick Trip, I know if I was on there for an hour or 2 hours. I have Agent Orange prostate cancer, borderline diabetic, compliments the United States government. I was in the service in 1967, 69, we were sprayed with Agent Orange. The PSA, through the people and the urologists that are helping me and all the doctors, it was 14.5 before I seen them, because if I didn't, I would end up dying like a lot of guys did. And through the years, they controlled it and got it down to 0.2. But you have to remember, your PSA fluctuates. It will always rise. It's never going to stay the same. This is not a PSA for your swimming pool. This is a PSA for you. And what Agent Orange and cancer, Agent Orange messes with every organ in your body. Well, anyway, going through, being on these crafts, like I was saying, they come through other dimensions. You're carrying germs, you're hugging. These are my friends. These have been my friends for over 50 years. We're not wearing spacesuits. They didn't really realize at the time what was going on, as smart as they are. But I knew something was wrong, because my PSA, like I said, was 0.2, and it jumped to 9.6. So I had to do something real quick. And I finally told them, we'll keep meeting on the TV like we're doing. I can never go back and see in person, because if it keeps up, I'm going to die. I'm human. So they were working on a protective shield for me, which they finally ended up doing. And I got my PSA down to about 6.5, and it's down to about 4.0 now. But when I go see them, they put me in this protective shield from the time I leave my car to the time I'm in the room and when I leave. So everything's kind of working out, and things are getting better. I got my doctors. I get this, what they call a luprin shot. I used to get it quarterly. I get it every 6 months. It's a very potent shot. this shot keeps me alive. Without this shot, I die. There's a lot of star people, the 28 that I've met, that are going to be here. There are a lot of them are walk among us right now. The star people, the Nordiques, you could put a t-shirt and a pair of jeans on. You would know the difference. The only difference on them is their eyes don't blink. These people are really built real good. They're really nice people. All the star people, other than the bad four that we met, were nice. Even the creatures, you know. And you know, at 12 years old, to see some of the hideous things that I've seen at 12, giant ant people, one-eyed cyclops people, worm people, cat people. You know, I got a little cat. These are giant cats, 9 to 12 feet tall. They're blue or brown in color. They're really friendly, and they are our friends. And a lot of them have been to planet Earth many times. They're protectors and watchers of this planet. They're concerned about us. The biggest thing that I did forget, this is a biggie, they want us to stop the wars, the nuclear power plants, anything nuclear. Because this is something that even back when NASA and the military were doing Nevada test sites, the atomic bomb, everything, that gets into these dimensions, that gets to them. This is why you hear or see these UFOs that are around military bases, anything nuclear. There was a time, I think it was NORAD, that they actually flew over there, raised them giant steel girders, you know, and then let them down on the ground, and took some of the missiles, melted some of the warheads, and went over to Russia and did the same damn thing. These people ain't playing around. They've been trying to talk to our higher-ups for years. They're coming to the people now. You know, I'm an example, my late father, my grandfather. This is you know, we're chosen people. And we have to get this information out to people. And I have a meeting room to do this. And then I have people that everything's, you know, live on tape, so other people, not just in my meeting room, can see this, and you know, you're getting actual information. I'm just a messenger, and what they're saying and what's going to happen in the future. This planet's going to be a beautiful planet. It's going to be a peaceful planet. We're going to be just like them. There's a planet out there. They have their everyday life. They're engineers. They actually design all the different crafts for these different star people. What people don't realize, as much as they want to see a UFO and meet the star people and come back and nothing happened, these people have lives just like we do. But this is all vital information going through to human people. You know, I give you three, my late grandfather, my father, and me. There's millions of us. There's 7 billion people on this planet. We got people running the show down here, playing God, just trying to eliminate us. They want to eliminate and only control plant-wise 500 million people. You know, I want you to think about some of the things that have been happening down here. There's a reason for this, and a lot of this is going to stop. A lot of these bad people are going to be gone. We're third dimensional. We're going to venture into fourth dimensional. We're going to turn from a carbon to a crystal liquid. This is all going to happen. I got information. I got a friend by the name of Tolik. He has the Andromeda Council. There are 12 different planets. They can't wait for visitation here and to meet us and let us know what's going on. But like I said, it's going to be an event that causes that. And there's another group called the Silver Legion. I never met them. These are a lot of females with wings. They do have men. There's barriers out in outer space that the spiritual great ones control, that nobody can. The only ones that really get to go through these barriers are the Silver Legion. The Silver Legion, as far as what I know from Tolik, me and Tolik talk a lot, they're protectors of the universe and planet Earth. There's 1 million in their force. And they're not the only ones. This Andromeda Council has a lot of power. There's a galactic federation. There's supposed to be 500 different worlds in our galaxy. 300 have our best interests. A lot of them don't. You got good and bad out there. You got good and bad down here. The only difference is that these people are more advanced than we are. We're a main player. It's our time to evolve as humans. And they're going to make sure, with no interruptions, that this goes smooth and we're all going to evolve like we're supposed to. And if you just can remember that through the past years, the Abenaki, Illuminati, whatever, all the bad ones that came down there, they were here to control us. And, you know, this is the education me and my late father has been given. And I'm just a messenger to get this out to you people, whether you believe it or not. There's more to come. I have my meetings the first Monday of the month at Sunset Bowling Lane, 7777 Watson. My meetings are live. You can watch these meetings. The guests that I have, the information I give out to keep you updated on what's going on. I'm not the only one that's doing this. I got a friend like Tolik. There's a guy by the name of Alfred Weber, Debbie Zingemeyer. You need to start listening to this, and you're going to start seeing what's going on. You're going to get the answers like I am, and you're going to see that this is not a bunch of bullshit, a hoax. This is real. You know, I'm a pretty honest person. I don't play games with nothing, and I definitely don't play games with this. And I don't care what people think. This has been my life for 50 years. I'm doing this for my late grandfather and my dad and the people on this planet. These are my Fab Four. These are the 4-star people that I meet every 2 months for information. This is the room that I'm in. You can see those Serpo Greys in the silver suits, the Nardiks and his wife, the elephant people to their right, and myself with my little 3-inch humanoids. They're from the 5th and 7th dimension. They're all over me. Behind them is a wall, like in the craft, that there's a crystal valve you can see in front of him, that when he sticks it into that crystal vase, that whole wall opens up into like a movie screen where he shows past, present, and future events. Now, I've met a total of 32 star people, and there's 4 of them. This is the 4 that I meet every 2 months. And you're going to meet the other 28. They're drawings. I had a great friend. She's an artist because I cannot draw. She drew all 32, and I stayed with her on this, and she got real close to the way they look like, the crafts, where they're from. And you're about to see that in a few minutes. Okay, they're not in order the way that my artist drew these people, but we're going to start off with the first one is the Cyclops people. They're from the 4th dimension. They fly in an orange egg, giant egg craft, and a lot of these sightings are all at nighttime, and this orange color of the craft is just beautiful. These people are telepathic. They're very friendly and they're very brilliant. They're protectors and watchers of this planet. And I've seen these at 12 years old. You can imagine these guys are 8 to 10 feet tall, and they got me and my father in a circle. And I was crying and everything, screaming. I was only 12 years old. I got behind my father. My father protected me. When we heard these guys, they talk telepathically. We are your friends. We're not here to harm you. And then they started giving us a few messages, whatever. And then later on in life, I met these guys when I was a lot older, and they would give me messages. There's some of them still down here on our planet underneath the ground. These people are the masters of the underground. And I'm going to go to the next one. These are the star women. These women are 7 feet tall. They got pale skin, blonde and dark hair. They have ray guns. They're real nice. They talk about our planet a lot. One thing I want to stress that every one of these people, because of my father, it was an accident when he went grocery shopping. They took the bread. We take bread, and to this day, I take 7 loaves of bread every time I meet. I've met these people and my Fab Four that I meet every 2 months. I always bring them bread. They love our bread. It was a peace offering for us to come back. It saved our lives. This is a craft that they flew in. They're from another galaxy. And they're going to be here when the time is right for everything that's supposed to happen and when we have contact down here on planet Earth the way it's supposed to be. The third people are called the monk people. These guys are from the 15th dimension. They got 7 fingers, 7 toes. They got little suction cups on their fingers. They're 6 to 7 feet tall. They fly in what you call a birthday size flying saucer. It looks like a birthday cake. The next one. These are the blue warriors. There's actually 2 blue people. These guys are already underneath the ground. They're here to protect us. And they're programmed to do what they're supposed to do. If anything really happens, they will intervene and help us. You can see the kind of craft. There's red lights all the way around. It's like a complete square. They're from the 8th dimension. These guys are really muscular. They have weapons. She just didn't put the weapons on. It's like ray guns and that. But these people talk telepathically too. A lot of them talk telepathically, and a lot of them can talk our language. These are the other blue people. They're female. They're 7 to 9 feet. They love our planet. This is the craft that they fly in. They have 3 fingers, 4 toes. They're very spiritual. They float, and they're from another dimension. These next people are the orange people. They're real hairy. These guys are from 4 to 10 feet tall. They're from another galaxy far away. They love our bread. They fly in a giant donut-sized craft. They talk telepathically. They're going to be with the blue warriors underneath the ground. Some of them are already down there too. They only bring so many that's needed. And once the big day for contact for everybody, then they're all going to be here. We're going to go to the next one. These are the worm people. These are the 2 types of crafts that they fly in. These guys are 6 feet tall. They're always around water. They're from the 12th dimension. They're green and it's a brown color. They got 2 toes and 4 fingers. They talk telepathically. These are like a ghost type, kind of like your Casper, but it isn't. They have orange eyes. They have this green glow around them. They float off the ground. This is the craft that they fly in. They're from another dimension. They talk telepathically, and they were telling us that they are protectors and watchers of this planet. They're really concerned about us. I'll go to the next one. These are the snake people. They don't look like snakes. They have a snake wrap over their heads with an antenna. It's like built into their heads. These guys are 6 feet tall. They got purple eyes. This is the craft that they fly in. They're from another dimension. It's got a lot of blue lights. It's a metallic craft. At nighttime it looks dark with the blue lights. Kind of set that off. These guys put some fear in me. My dad never met these guys, but they have a snake emblem on their uniforms. This is what they wear. They got 3 fingers. I couldn't see how many toes they had because of the boots that they wear. But they talk about how we're destroying our planet. We need to turn it around, and they know that we're doing it. I'm going to go to the next one. These are one of the bad people. There's got to be an east and a west. These are the praying mantis people. 6 to 7 feet tall. This is a craft that they fly in. They're from another dimension. And we have small praying mantis down here. What I want you to kind of remember as I go through this, even with the other insects, me and my late father, we came to the conclusion, because we have the tiny ones down here, and these are the tall ones. We figured out, we just came up with a date of the 1800s in Colorado, where all the large insects you're going to see as I go through this came down here and programmed the little tiny ones that we have for the purpose of what they're to do down here. These are bad praying mantis, and the reason I say that, they treated my late father real bad. They pushed my father down. They made him put his chin into this metal type thing. I kicked one in the shin and I ran behind my dad. There's got to be an east and west of these praying mantis, because I've heard they're really spiritual and religious. Margie Kay, who's the assistant director of MUFON, actually talks to one of these. She calls him her Manny, and as far as I know, he's real friendly, so there's got to be something to this. I'm going to go to the next one. These are these are the real bad ones. These are the Hydra Draco reptilian lizard people. And they're real intimidating. They put fear in you. I met these with my late father, 12 years old. They can change themselves into anything. They can walk right through you. They actually stuck their whole hand and arm through my dad. And that happened to my dad when this happened. They say the abilities that we have and what their objective is to take over this planet, which they did for a long time. We like I said, we bring bread to every one of them. They were there for information. More than anything, they put fear in us. I was a little kid, 12 years old. And when I got older and met them twice later on, in the late 60s and early 70s, they were just there for more bad information, more or less, to kind of bring back a message like, you know, this is what we're going to look like. The next one is, which I'm sure everybody on this planet has a cat. I have a small cat too. These are the cat people. They're 9 to 12 feet tall. They're from the ninth dimension. They're in the color of brown and blue. This is the craft that they fly in. They talk telepathically. They're real friendly. And they're protectors and watchers of our planet. We'll go to the next one. A lot of us, these people, star people, creatures, we ask who they were, where they're from. A lot of us would give the dimension or would just say another dimension, galaxy. These are monster-looking people. That's the only name that, you know, I could come up. My father never met these. They look like they came up from a prison, the way they're striped and everything. They're 6 feet tall. They're from the 10th dimension. This is the craft that they fly in. This is all the different colors: lights, orange, yellow, pink, blue. It's really a silver craft in the daytime, but this is what they all look at night with the pretty colors. And they love our bread. I'll go to the next one. These are the frog people. It's not the kind of frog people we have down here, but this is what they are. They're 4 feet tall. They're from the 11th dimension. They love our bread. This is the craft that they fly in. These guys have like a shell hand. They're underneath our mountains. They're doing something with the soil on planet Earth. They're real friendly, and This is the kind of information they gave me. And so the next one, these guys are really hideous looking. These are hairy people. They never gave us their name. They're 8 feet tall. They got 6 fingers. They're ugly. They have an orange glow around their body. They're from another dimension. This is the craft. These guys got 6 toes, 6 fingers. They're real hairy, and they talk telepathically. They're real friendly and real smart. They're also protectors and watchers of our planet. These are hybrid children. This is a craft that they fly in. You'll notice our eyes blink, their eyes don't. They're 4 to 6 feet tall. The female looks a lot like us. They got small bodies, large heads, and some have dark hair and blonde hair, black eyes. Others have blue eyes. I have some girls in my meeting room. They have a lot of hybrid children, and they know that it's their children. They're half alien, half human. Something with the DNA on some of these. I think there's 12 planets out there, they told us, that use our DNA. We're an important species to a lot of these star people. The next one is the biblical people. They got long noses. They love our bread. They're from another galaxy. They've been watching our planet for years. They're in colored clothes. This is a husband and wife. They never gave us their name. This is the craft that they fly in, but they can talk our language and telepathically. They're super friendly, and I was told I'd be seeing them again soon, but I haven't seen them for a while. The next ones are the busted beak people. This is the craft that they fly in. They also fly in a triangle craft. They're highly intelligent. They're very nice. They're 8 to 10 feet tall. They're from the 8th dimension. They have like it looks like a glove, but it's almost like a clam hand. I couldn't see their feet because of the uniform they're wearing there. But these guys are definitely protectors and watchers of this planet. They talk telepathically. They can actually float off the ground. The next one, this is another one of the bad 4. These guys are the spacesuit people. They're in silver suits. They like our planet a lot. When their light blinks on supposedly where their face would be, that's when they start talking telepathically. They're 6 to 9 feet tall. These are the 2 crafts that they fly in. It's like a boomerang craft with 2 red lights and a large blue light in the center. But in the daytime, it would be silver if the lights were off. And this is the other craft that they fly in. It's like a big square with a lot of yellow lights. They talk telepathically. They don't really like us humans. They're one of the 4 bad people. This is not the exact dwarf that my grandfather met in Yugoslavia. That would sit on the stump. My grandfather would give him a sandwich. They would talk. They live in the trees on their planet. They're from the 7th and 8th dimension. They have these colored clothes. They have bases here. They fly in an egg-shaped craft. It's got yellow and like pink around at nighttime. It's a beautiful craft. They start from 12 inches all the way to 3 feet. That's how tall they get. These are the silver metallic people from another galaxy. They have a triangle face. You can see how small their eyes and their lips and nose are. They're 5 to 6 feet tall. These beings fly. You can see their wings. This is the craft that they fly in. It looks like a giant ball. It's got a huge red light. It's not just a tiny light. The whole thing in the center is red. They're from another galaxy, like I said. They talk telepathically and love our planet. These guys are 6 to 7 feet tall. They have unusual weapons. They have a big nose. This is the way their hair is. They have a ray gun, And over his shoulder, because he wears this black cape with this X-vest, it's like a ray gun rifle. And they're protectors of the universe and planet Earth. This is a craft that they fly in. And they're 6 to 7 feet tall. I don't know if I said that, but anyway, they're real friendly. The next ones are these little, they look like little children. They're pale face, 4 feet tall, childlike, large blue eyes. They love our bread. They're from another galaxy far away. This is a diamond-shaped craft that they fly in. It's got like huge pink solid lights on both sides with like an orange light in the center, and it shoots off these yellow streak lights. They're real friendly. They talk telepathically. And I've seen them once with my late father, twice by myself later on. These are the ant people. The leaders have wings. These guys are 6 to 7 feet tall. They're from other dimensions. They have 2 crafts. They actually have a craft that looks like an ant, a giant ant. If you took a turtle and took the turtle out of the shell, it looks like a shell. It has this red light and this red streaming light underneath. They're always underneath the ground. They're very friendly. And again, as we went through this, me and my late father, he met these 2. We have real tiny ants down here. So we knew there was some kind of correlation with the giant ones. There's a mountain on Peru. You can only see from above. It has a giant chimpanzee and a giant bird. So now you're seeing that, you know, this is just a drawing, but this is real. These people, these creatures actually exist. Everything that I'm showing you is real. This has been my life for over 50 years. This is a real angel by the name of Catherine. She's 6 to 7 feet tall, from another galaxy. They always have to be around water and sunlight. They've had a lot of bases down here. They've been watching us for years. This is the kind of a craft that they fly in with this blue glow. She has a blue glow around her wings. She only has 2 wings. They're going to be here when the time comes. The next one, this is my little 3-inch humanoid, guys. This is the craft that I first seen back in 1959. It was a little bit bigger than a basketball. It's silver, the little windows. They have an acorn ship, and it looks like a little football. These guys are from the 5th and 7th dimension. They make some of the crop circles. It takes 7 to 10 seconds to make them. The power that they have, they can shrink you to their size. They want me to go to their craft so bad. I mean, if everybody that I would want to meet the star people, these are the ones, because they're 3-inch. I've had them all over my body, my head, my forearm, my hand. They float in front of me. They're high-pitched. My name's Raymond. They call me Raymond. A lot of these people and creatures call me Raymond. When my dad was around, my dad's name is Rudy. They would call him Ruda. That was his name. But this is one of my Fab 4. I love these guys. This is another one of my Fab 4. They're real friendly. They're 3 to 7 feet tall. These are the Serpo Greys with the big black eyes and the silver suits. These are the 2 crafts that they fly in when they're coming from their planet. My Fab 4, they fly in a giant cigar-shaped object, brown or white, 3 football lengths, or a giant flying saucer. The room that I'm in and the craft that I'm in, because the Nordiques were telling me they have a library, they have a gym, they have it's not a restaurant, it's a hall where they eat. There's a lot of Nordiques, Serpo Greys, and elephant people, and my little 3-inch guys on these crafts. When I'm in this room, it's just my 8 little 3-inch humanoid guys, the Nordique, one of the leaders of the Serpo Greys, and the elephant people. but it's got a lot of people on there. This is another one of my Fab Four. This is the elephant people. They have dark jumpsuits. They have these pyramid patches. They're red. These guys are 10 feet tall. They're really intelligent. They're special friends of mine. These are the two crafts that they fly in. They're from the 13th and 14th dimension. And they talk telepathically. They can talk our language. They're just super friendly, super smart. And they're protectors and watchers of this planet. This is another one of my Fab Four. These are the Nordiques. They kind of take control of everything in the meetings. They're 5 to 7 feet tall. If you put a t-shirt or jeans on them, you wouldn't even know it. The only thing that gives them away is their eyes don't blink. You got a good chance. If you're around a donut shop a long time, I'm not going to say it's going to happen, but they love our donuts. They love our bread. These were the only ones that ever changed the menu on me. I still bring them 7 loaves of bread, but I bring them a dozen donuts. They love our donuts. These are the other bad people. They're very intimidating. They try to put a lot of fear in you. These are the Orion Greys. They're 4 to 7 feet tall. They're from the planet Orion. They're friends of the reptilians, Hydra and Draco. This is the craft that they fly in with all different colors. These are the people that my late father and me don't ever see any of these 4 bad ones. This is a time traveler. His name is Neil. That's what he told me. He's us from the year 2035. And this is the craft that they fly in. It's a triangle craft. Something happened in their air. They messed up on DNA, whatever, and they're coming here for body parts. And it was the last thing I got from him. I only seen him once. My father never met this guy. And last but not least, this is CR's people. These guys are anywhere from 2 to 10 feet tall. They're from the 23rd planet. Their planet was dying. They fly in a dragonfly craft. They can float off the air. They have their legs where they're arched up like here. We have tiny ones in the ocean. So again, remember, you got the giants and you got the small ones. They were supposed to get back with me. When I seen that movie, Cowboys and Aliens, it blew me away because in that movie, there's a dragonfly craft, and I was wondering where either Hollywood or higher echelon got that craft in there. They're really friendly, and I don't know if they're gone, extinct, or what, but they were supposed to get back because their planet was dying. And that's about it. But I just want to let everybody know that these people are real. And this has been my life for over 50 years. And I'm sharing this with you. I'm doing all this for my late grandfather, my father, and for the people on this planet to let everybody know we are not alone. Okay, there was one other thing I really wanted to say, and I was talking to my Fab Four, the Nordiques, and it was on my mind and my father's mind, and it had nothing to do with the other people that tried to rescue Flight 19, 5 Avenger pilots, but I wanted to know if they were really dead. And my Nordic friends said they're alive in another dimension, in another Earth-like world. And it really made sense to me and my father for this fact. We're not scientists. A human being going through time and dimensions in space, the molecules, the way our bodies are going through time, which these guys did, if everything worked out this way, they told them they would live just the way they were in 1945. These guys were young, for thousands and thousands of years. So in reality, if they came back to planet Earth, their nails would be from here to this into this room. They would shrivel up and die. So when I got involved with my Nordiques on this subject, they brung up something to me about our immortality, because an immortality of a Nordique is 1,800 years. A Serpo Gray is 350 years. Excuse me. The cells, they're always talking about us being in the sun a lot because they're underneath the ground. The cells that died, that give us old age, is what our top scientists are trying to reverse. That would be our immortality, and we would live longer. I mean, we're living long now. The women down here always outlive the men, but I can see what they're saying. They're telling the truth about us, the things that we do wrong, and being in the sun is one of them. Because the sun's good, but it's bad for us because we get cancer and what it does to our faces and everything. But this was a main concern for me and my father, and I just wanted to say that. Beautiful room, and we had black and white TV. You know, this is in the 50s. We didn't have color TV. And all of a sudden, this color TV comes floating in the air right in front of us. It shows Hitler, all the wars, and our beautiful planet totally on fire. And I was only 12, so my dad's asking him questions. Did we have war with you? Did the sun fall? They're not saying anything. So when that's all over with, we're coming out of the craft. I'm sitting down now, but if I was standing up, our nose started bleeding real bad. It was coming out of this nostril. It's not even hitting the ground. It's like a chain. It's going back into the other nostril. And I'm looking at my dad because he's going through the same thing. We're hitting ourselves in the chest because we thought we were going to die right there. So they're walking us back to the car, and we get in, and then they're walking back in the craft, and they leave. And when I went to turn around to the back seat, I saw everything was there but the bread. And that's when I grabbed my dad's shirt, and I said, Daddy, 12-year-old kid, everything's there but they took the bread. So our car started. We're going back home because we had this big backyard. It was 210 by 60. I used to cut it with a push-mower. And we would talk and console. My mother, my older brother, and my sister never knew anything about our lives because my dad scared the hell out of me. Because and they were real big. And I had these little pebbles because he used to love to hear the ping off of these lights. And I had 2 boulders to break it, and I was a 12-year-old kid. Well, I started throwing the little pebbles at the light, and I was hearing a ping. And out of the corner of my eye, it's Manchester's like a main street, and in Tammy Avenue is the street I lived on. We were the second building on the right, across the street. But anyway, I saw this metallic ball. It was a little bit bigger than a basketball, and it was real silent. We didn't have remote control back then, and I couldn't understand what this was, but it come over my head about 30 feet. Well, a little kid, 12 years old, I picked up one of the boulders because I was going to throw at it, hit it, it would fall, break in half. This is a little 12-year-old kid. And when I went to step back to throw, I saw these little windows with these little figures. Well, down the road, these are my buddies now. They're 3-inch humanoids. They had shot a beam of light on me, like a green beam on me. There was a small parking lot, and it was his first house. It went up over the house, down, shot straight up in the air, disappeared. So I went running into the house. My mom's cooking breakfast. My dad's sitting in his seat. He always had this pad that he would write on. So I started drawing what I'm seeing. And my dad's jumping up and down saying UFO, all these big words. I didn't know what the hell he was talking about because I was only 12. He said, where did you see this? And I said, Dad, I saw it out in the front. Well, my dad went running, and my mom went running after him. So when I got out there, I brought him back in the house, and he had me sit down at the kitchen table. He said, what I want you to do is tell me everything. And I go, well, if I tell you everything, you're not going to kick my ass, are you? Because he kind of laughed about that. And my dad knew that he was not alone no more. He had somebody to console with. My dad was 8th grade education. And I didn't realize that we were going to actually meet E.T., you know, that evening. What he went and done first is he went grocery shopping because he thought more about my mom than E.T. And he bought all the groceries, 2 loaves of bread, and then we go to meet E.T. in this area. The car dies, and they're coming after us, and there's this giant flying saucer. So they get us out of the car, and they're walking us into this craft. They put me in one room and my dad in the other room. And I was 12 years old. I was real scared. And they're scraping and taking semen. And I'm sure they're doing the same thing to my dad. And then when I looked up at the ceiling, because I'm on this metal table, I saw this yellow blanket light coming down and would cover my neck, and my feet would be open in my head. I could move my feet in my head. And I was real scared. And I was trying to push through it. I'm just a 12-year-old kid. And I'm sure my dad's going through the same thing. So finally, they put us in this room together. I'm a long-time contactee. This started with me at age 12 in 1959. It really started with my grandfather first. He was in Yugoslavia. He was a lumberjack. And my grandmother would give him like 5 sandwiches. He'd have his coffee, and he'd sit on his stump. And out of these woods came this 12-inch dwarf and sat on his stump by my grandfather. My grandfather would give him a sandwich, and he would communicate, and they would talk. And this would go on pretty much. He had 4 sons, and were Croatian Yugoslavia, because they would speak in different language, so no one could understand what they were saying. The only one that really took my grandfather serious was my dad, because he knew that he was telling the truth. And in these conversations I would hear, because I was a lot younger, but something that this little dwarf was telling my grandfather was that his son and one of his grandsons are going to be chosen to meet a lot of different star people. You people call them aliens, they're really star people. So that's kind of where it started there. Now, I grew up in a town called Dogtown, and my dad had a 4-family flat. And I used to go across the streets on a Saturday morning, every Saturday morning. We had these enormous street lights. He told me if we ever say anything, the guys in the white jackets would come, take us away, and you never see your mother, your brother or sister. Well, that scared the hell out of me. And it was a reason for my dad to say that. But this little kid, 12 years old, it just lit in my brain about this bread. So I'm talking to my dad, and I go, Daddy, the next time we meet star people, that was the first thing that came out of my mouth anyway, we bring bread. Well, my dad laughed. The second time we went, he took 5 loaves of bread. Third time we went, he took 7. My dad did not laugh no more. He realized that this was a peace offering. I never had any missing time. If my dad had it, he was implanted at 5 years old. I'm not saying that he didn't, he probably did. If I had any missing time, it was from 0, 1 to 11 years old. But from 12 years old all the way now, 2014, I'm 66. And my dad didn't have any missing time because he was, to the part to where my dad almost, finally died and everything. But I made a quest for my father that, I would carry on and find out the answers, because we had a lot of meetings in the yard where we were right about this, that star people were saying. And I met a total of 32 star people, 28 good, 4 bad. The bad ones I met were the two-legged